saying that I personally would like to live my life without an eating disorder. And if that means that I have to consume some animals for the time being,
Well, you
that's just
don't.
the way it is.
Well, you don't. Can you show
Well,
me?
as I said, I could.
Well, you don't. So you're saying you have an eating disorder, but you refuse to actually eat. Like you're demanding that you eat in a highly specific way. Again, you're saying, well, I can't add broccoli to my diet because it has too many calories. Like that sounds like an
Well,
eating
no, I
disorder to
do
me.
have broccoli. I do have
Well,
broccoli in
right,
my
but you're
diet.
saying you can't add more broccoli to your diet or add more lettuce to your diet or maybe switch certain foods out for, again, like
So that's
vegetable
actually where you got
soups.
it wrong. I have broccoli and vegetables in my diet.
Right.
That's my main source of
I
volume.
I understand, but you said you can't add more in to get more food volume.
I would be living purely off of soy protein isolate powder and broccoli on the side for the rest of my life if I were to do that.
Yeah, no, there's other options. So you said you have a gluten intolerance and what you have insulin resistant PCOS. Is that what it is?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's more food options than just broccoli, lettuce, and soy protein isolate. There, I have friends with PCOS who are vegan and they're not dead. My wife probably has celiac disease. It's extremely hard to diagnose. She actually got direct inspection of her bowels with endoscope. They, yeah, they couldn't determine whether or not, even with direct inspection, they couldn't determine whether or not she had celiac disease. But she basically lives off potatoes. Like again, there are ways around these things that don't involve murder. So I'm just wondering,
So
like,
that's another thing that I wanted to ask was recall that somebody who was like the person who kind of led me over to you, they were asking me about your opinion on carnivorous animals.
yeah.
So would you say that
So
they're
if you were like
murder?
hunting bears, I wouldn't have a problem with that. So I'm in favor of culling
So
carnivorous animals because they're causing rights violations. So if I killed a bear, that could save, I don't know, 1,000 animals over the course of the bear's lifetime. So I'd be in favor of killing the
then,
bear to prevent them from committing murder.
so with that being in mind, if you're in favor of culling carnivorous animals, what is your opinion on microorganisms like C.
Um,
elegans?
so like what?
Microorganisms like C. elegans
Okay,
or
what?
water bears, or they're carnivorous. Would you say
Okay,
that culling those is also something that needs to be done?
if it would reduce rights violations, then sure. Like I only
And
care about conscious sentient beings, by the way.
C. elegans is pretty conscious.
Okay,
They can tell when they're being cut in half.
okay. Then if
So,
it
what
would
is your
reduce
opinion on
rights
them?
violations, then sure.
What is your definition of a rights violation then?
Yeah, so rights violation could be considered something that takes away the life of a sentient creature that has a will to live or restricts their freedoms and liberties.
And what is your definition of a sentient creature?
Well, it sentience just means the ability to have a subjective experience. So consciousness could be a replacement for that word. Means basically the same thing, but it basically means conscious creature, or more specifically, the ability to have a subjective experience.
And what is your opinion, or what is your definition of a consciousness or subjective experience?
You can't reduce that definition further. Subjective means a certain thing, means a mind dependent experience. It
Well, I mean, a mind dependent experience could be, for example, let's say our muscle cell getting a,
Muscle cell
uh,
isn't a mind.
well, I'm saying a muscle cell getting an order from like a neuron. and acting a specific way. You could
No,
say that
a
the
neuron isn't
DNA
a
itself.
mind. No, a neuron isn't a mind. So, again, it's a mind-dependent experience.
And so you would say that, for example, one cell acting a specific way based off of a chemical reaction that occurred.
That's not a
This, at the end of
mind.
the day, a mind
That's
experience
not a
is
mind.
based on, well, a mind is made of chemical reactions.
Well,
That's
yes, but
what it is.
so there's something that creates a mind. A mind could be created in a computer. It could be created from like a network of neurons and chemical interactions, but a single neuron isn't a mind.
I'm not saying that a single neuron is a mind. I'm saying that working together, a cell technically has a mind of its own in its own
No,
respect.
no. When we talk about a mind, we're talking about a specific thing, something that can have a subjective experience. So something that has a consciousness, something that can feel something, experience something that's unique to itself. So a single cell cannot have that kind of experience.
Um,
So, like your ability to see the color blue, or the color red, or the entire electromagnetic spectrum, or hear certain things, or feel angry, or sad, or pain. That's the type of experience I'm talking about. Cell can't experience those things.
so for carnivorous animals and overall what you define as animals with having a mind, correct? Um, if they were all to be eliminated from the earth, would you say that that would be a perfect earth?
I wouldn't say it would necessarily be a perfect Earth, but an Earth where no one commits any murder would be a better Earth.
So at that point, what controls those animals in
What do you mean?
regard, like the animals that are left over? What exactly controls, like, you know how
Do
ecosystems
you
do work?
find yeah, so you don't need carnivorous animals to make every single ecosystem stable. Yellowstone National Park is a good example of that. So again, in cases where it would reduce rights violations, I'm in favor of culling carnivorous animals. Let's say if all animals would die on Earth if we were to get rid of carnivorous animals, then I probably wouldn't be in favor of it because it would increase the amount of death that occurs. If no sentient life could exist without that sort of thing, then yeah, I wouldn't be in favor of it. But from what I've seen, many, if not most, ecosystems could likely exist without the existence of carnivorous animals. So again, Yellowstone National Park being an example. Wolves were gone from Yellowstone National Park, didn't cause any significant changes to the ecosystem. They reintroduced wolves, and it did nothing but cause a few more deaths to some small animals and larger animals, including elk.
So with that being said,
Like, do you think murder's wrong?
I do think murder is wrong,
So
but
then
I
why do you do
also
it?
believe that I believe that carnivores and the consumption of meat does stabilize some ecosystems in regards to limiting the spread of disease, limiting, like, for example, if two elks decide to clash horns and one of them dies and it gets stuck, then you're stuck with two dead elks in regards to,
Right. So
like,
if
for
we were to
example,
go to
being able
China,
to,
right. So if we were to go to China and set off a nuclear bomb, that could have prevented coronavirus. So should we like kill people to prevent the spread of disease?
I'm not saying that we should kill people to prevent the spread of disease, but when disease does occur, it does kill people. And
Right,
when
but you're not in favor of
you're talking
murdering
about an
people to prevent the spread of
ecosystem,
disease.
no, I'm not.
Okay. So
But
why
there's a
is it
balance to
okay to do
things.
that? Right. So why is it okay to do that in the case of, animals?
Well, carnivorous animals don't necessarily have the choice to not eat.
Okay. I don't know why that's meaningful.